Tonight, the first major indictment has been unsealed, and Q tells us it's 100% authentic. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, I start off every one of these episodes by saying thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel just would not work, and thank you so much for everybody who has done that. If you have not hit that subscribe button, now's a great time. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified. Because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, we got a lot to cover here, and this is crazy, but the first major indictments have been unsealed and this is going to be bombshell. I can feel it. And for all those out there who have been begging for it, it's here. Just stick around for this episode and you're going to see it. But first, we're going to go through the latest QAnon post, as always. If you want to catch up to where we were last time, by all means, please come down and check out the page and look at the last few videos. If you just want to catch up and get a good idea of where we've been, watch the last few. If you want to just get caught up to where we are now, watch this one. It's going to make a lot of things make sense as we go through the Q posts in this video. But let's just go forward. Okay, so Q is responding to an AN0N here, and the AN0N posts this screenshot. Excuse me, that's not it. Okay, so here's the graphic from the AN0N. Now let's go over it very quickly. Okay, so it gives a timeline here, and it's pointing us first to Trump's tweet from May 2nd, where he says, "At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency to get involved." Then it's pointing us to May 10th, where Q posts a picture of a pen next to some White House stationery. That seems to be inferring that the document under this piece of paper, Q purposefully left the letters showing so that they could be matched up. And it's saying the DOJ Nunez release. That was the document name. Then on May 15th, you have 3 members of Congress coming together, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and Ron DeSantis. And what they're doing is they're putting together this letter to President Trump, asking him to use his special powers and authorities to require Jeff Sessions to turn over immediately all documents requested by Congress relating to the investigation of certain prosecutorial and investigative decisions made by the Department of Justice and FBI in 2016 and 2017. Now, a lot of people have implied that these letters that you can see right here match up with the letters right around here, the authority and the A of all, like that's how they would line up. And so if you look at that, that makes pretty clear sense to me. The A of all right here, we can even zoom in more. So you see the A and the TH, the UTH here of authority, and RTH. You have authority. I'm not sure. Yeah, RTI, the A, the D. I don't know. This is supposed to line up somehow. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. That was the progenitive guess about what this is, but I'm sure there's even more to it. And then the next thing he goes into is the Q post from the 16th of May, where he says, "Follow the pen, already written, ? Letters left visible to match." And it gives a link to this document that we're seeing here, this letter, right? And then that's what we're trying to line up. So it looks like they could line up, you know, if you have the letters in authority and in this area lining up, then you know, it's kind of hard to deny it. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Again, that is up to you guys. But we're going to go and read what Q had to say about it. So what Q says is he puts up a picture of Donald Trump's tweet. So Donald Trump's tweet is this right here that we're going to look at. It's from May 2nd, and he says exactly what we went over before, where he says, "A rigged system. They don't want to turn over the documents to Congress. What are they afraid of? Why so much redacting? Why such unequal justice? At some point, I'll have to use no choice but to use my powers, or use the powers granted to me to the presidency and get involved. Fair enough. So Q says, executive order unreleased. Today was the precursor. It must be requested, quote unquote, officially. First, correct. Q. So what he's saying is that in order to have the executive order to create the precedent for the executive order, you must first establish a need by having a request. I don't know if this is exactly how the law works. I don't suspect that it does at all. I think he can write an executive order at the whim, but it is probably etiquette proper and is what is been traditionally done. So, and it's a fair enough reason, because why would you want the president running around writing executive orders unwarranted? There'd have to be some reasonable cause, and this was it. So that's what Q's pointing to. The letter to Trump was a direct response to what Trump tweeted here, basically asking him to use his authority to release the documents that the DOJ and the FBI will not release, which are going to uncover some pretty crazy stuff that we're going to get into at the end of this video. So stick around for that. But now we're going to jump into the next post. It's Q responding to his own post here, the one we just went over. And he says, Freedom Caucus, Freedom, quote unquote, Caucus 2015, coincidence? Q. Now, one thing to take away about the Freedom Caucus is that it was started, according to Wikipedia, which, it's fairly accurate for most things. But Jim Jordan was one of the main members, a part of creating that. And Jim Jordan was one of the main people behind the letter that we just talked about. So that to me is an incredible, I don't want to say coincidence, because Q tells us there are no coincidences. It's just another verification that Q is pointing us in the right direction, telling us that Jim Jordan and the Freedom Caucus since 2015 have been established to fight this deep state within our government, these bad actors, the CIA that basically took control of the republic that we were living in peacefully and to our best extent, but they hijacked it. The deep state cabal, they were making their move to take over. They thought if they got Hillary in for another 8 years, then we were pretty much finished. And it's telling us right here that this was started as a reaction to that. And we have the Freedom Caucus, we have Jim Jordan, we have DeSantis, we have Nunez, apparently we have Gowdy. We have other people who are working behind the scenes to actually make sure that this cabal globalist scheme to infiltrate our government from not just the globalists at large, you have the Muslim Brotherhood trying to infiltrate, you have the Chinese trying to infiltrate, you have the Russians to a certain extent trying to infiltrate. This is way bigger than just a response to the evil cabal, even though the Luciferian globalist pedophile Satanists, they're the ones we're targeting at the top. But ultimately, we'll have to settle for getting rid of all evil, which is not a bad settlement to me, if you ask me. I don't know. But let's jump into the next one. Excuse me. Now, this one's interesting. And we're going to read through it. And this was a post from before. And it says, why are POTUS supporters screaming for end? POTUS witch hunt end. Add Rudy. Quiet. Can the investigation officially publicly drop POTUS from review and continue? Why did the Podesta group close shop? And it gives a government tracking website. And it says, why are known bad actors in full support of Mueller? Why did POTUS interview FBI Director Mueller a day prior to Supreme Court appointment if impossible to assign special counsel appointment? Then it says, why did Sessions recuse? What are the powers of Huber, Inspector General Horowitz? And then it gives an article to a Breitbart article talking about how Huber was named as a prosecutor, kind of a special prosecutor in this case that was actually better for Trump than having a second special counsel. And then it says, who has the power? Who can know? Are Democrats using as midterm tactic to win House? Are Democrats using as ammo to gain majority to impeach? Impeach on what grounds? What facts exist to impeach? House report POTUS, no evidence of collusion. All right. So, and then it gives a Fox News article talking about the House Intelligence Committee releases the Russian report. Now, what does all this have to do with what Q's talking about here? Well, we can tie this in several different ways, but ultimately what he's pointing to is that Rudy has come in. Rudy has made some big changes, right? He's basically working hard. And just as recently as today, we have Rudy coming out and saying that Mueller has all the facts and has nothing on Trump. And that all these charges that Mueller's out getting on people who are in Trump's orbit during the campaign or affiliated with him through the law practices and however you want to look at it, they're not affiliated with anything that fell within the scope of the Russia investigation. And then at the same time, you have Capitol Hill hearings today, closed chamber hearings of the Senate Intelligence Committee, where you now have the Senate peeling off away from Nunes and Jordan and other representatives in the House who are actively seeking, well, other congressmen, I should say, who are actively seeking to undermine and expose the cabal that is working against us. So let's just recap that. The Senate Intelligence Committee is trying to undermine the findings of the House Intelligence Committee by breaking away from their opinion and just giving another narrative, because they've all been bought and paid for, in my humble opinion. But that's up for you guys to decide. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Now, what we're going to talk about next is actually very important also. So we're going to keep going here. I keep jumping around. I'm sorry. But the next post is Q saying, you have a choice. And there's so much, and before we even move forward, there's so much more in this post that we could point to here. But I think that was what they were basically getting at with this, talking about how Rudy's going to change the whole dynamic of the special prosecutor and Sessions and Huber and with the Inspector General Horowitz. Their reports are coming out and they're going to basically put all these things down, and that this is all a big attempt to impeach Trump, and that he is going to be basically under the gun unless you guys get out there and vote. We all have to get out there and vote and support our candidates and if the House goes Democrat, it's a very good possibility that they'll try to impeach Trump. On what grounds? I don't know, because there's no facts to back any grounds for impeachment that I've seen yet. But they'll make something up if they have to. So you guys need to get involved and get active as soon as you can. And that leads us to the next one, where an AN0N posts this old Q post from January 14th saying, "We the people, we the people, we the people, we the people. Where we go one, we go all. No one person is above another. We the people are making the world a better place. We the people are taking back our country and world from the evil losers who would do us harm, all for a buck, no more. Stand up, patriots. Stand up and defend what you know is right. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America, 4/10/20." And then the AN0N finishes saying, "Thank you for your service to the Great Awakening, Baker." And Q responds with this. He posts this picture saying, "We are Q." It's a picture of Donald Trump at his inauguration, and it's very symbolic for what we are. And you can almost see the Q structure and the symbol here, right? If you continued that circle and then that was the Q mark, I'm just saying. But it is very important to look at this and understand that we are a part of something so much bigger. We are a part of such a large and great cause here. We're trying to save our country. We're trying to work together to defeat the globalists, evil, Luciferian, pedophiles, Satanists. And where we go one, we go all. And we are all Q. It's not just Trump. It's not just the intelligence, military intelligence, brave men who are working to get, and women who are getting this information out, and or just the certain high-level people who are around Trump in his orbit. No, it's every single one of us. It's every one of the autists. It's every single one of the patriots. It's every single one of the viewers of this video and of other videos that cover this intelligence. And it's more broadly about we the American people and we the world, because there are people all around the world who want the same thing that we're seeking here, which is just freedom. So God bless America, and God bless everyone outside of its borders who is seeking the same principles and seeking the same outcomes that we are here on the Q board. I just want to throw that out there because I know we have a lot of international viewers out there, and from Israel to London to Thailand to you name it. I've had responses from people who are just as patriotic about this as a lot of people I know here in America are. So it's just incredible. So thank you to everyone out there who believes in Q and believes in this information and believes in the fact that it should be put out there. Now, the next one's kind of interesting. It's this Gina Haspel post. And what this is basically, it's her career timeline. And it's starting on January 6, 1985. But if you go down through the timeline itself, she starts off with language and other training. Then she was the chief of station in Eurasia. Then she was deputy group chief of Russia operations. Then she was deputy chief in Europe division again, deputy chief of station in Europe division, deputy group chief. I'm not sure what CTC is. Oh, counterterrorism center. Then you have, she was in the National Resources Division, then Director of Operations and Chief of Staff, Europe Division, and she was on a classified location from 2011 to 2012. Yeah, I wonder what was going on there. That's what they all talked about, I think. But I'm not sure, actually. I think that happened beforehand, so it had to have happened when she was in the counterterrorism, the speculated torture abuses that she was involved in. It had to have happened in this area right here, but she was at a classified location. She's been in covert action. She's been in the NCS, the National Clandestine Service. She has been the Europe Division Chief, and now she was the Deputy Director of the CIA. Okay, long, impressive resume. What does this have to do with anything at all, you're asking? Very good question. This has to do with exactly what we're looking at here in the slow walking of the nomination. You have here Trump actually trying to start a hashtag around Gina, and I think this is what the point of that Q post is. I don't know that it has any direct implication to what we're going to get into next with the big drops, even though there's a lot connected there, especially when we look at the references to what the CIA is basically. But you have here Donald Trump's tweet where he says, Gina Haspel is one step closer to leading our brave men and women at the CIA. She's exceptionally qualified, and the Senate should confirm her immediately. We need to keep our great country safe. Hashtag confirm Gina. So I'm going to retweet this right now, and I want all of you to do the same. Once you guys go over to my page at Justin_formed, you guys can come over here and find me on Twitter at Justin_formed. And you can retweet my latest one and check out the page. And if you want to follow, you can go ahead and follow. That'd be great. Okay, so back to what we were talking about, though. What is Q talking about with this Gina Haspel thing? Well, he's talking about Trump's post there with the hashtag confirm Gina hashtag. It's all about getting the movement behind confirming Gina, because she is actively working against the deep state. She's somebody who Trump has picked personally, and who has been basically eased into the position by Mike Pompeo, our current Secretary of State. But there's even more to it than just that. And what that is very interesting. And that is that Gina was confirmed today by confirmation committee in the Senate, but now she has to go to the broad Senate to take an overall vote, which will decide whether or not she's confirmed. So Trump's trying to use Twitter in order to push the platform of, to push his candidates, because we're trying to make these counter attacks against what they've obviously been planning for the 2018 midterm elections, which is just complete censorship and a complete stranglehold on the social media movements that have affected our own democracy here over the last 2 years plus, with the latest election and going into future elections. You're obviously going to see a big pushback from the tech oligarchy, the technocracy, if you will. They're going to be the ones pushing back, and that's what we're going to be attempting to fight, right? But There's a lot more to this. As you know, we're gonna get this is connected to the next few posts, but that was just my initial take on it, so I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so the next one here, and it's this. Let me clarify. This will be connected to not this one, I don't think necessarily, but it'll be connected to the later ones. So here we go, guys. The indictment has been unsealed. The indictment has been unsealed. And what indictment is that? It's the United States of America versus Anthony Weiner. Now, the unsealing order took place today, May 16th, 2018. And this is going to be it. This is going to be ground zero of what's going on and how the cabal is going to come down. This is what everybody's been waiting for. This is what all you people, not you people, I don't mean that derogatorily, I just mean all the people in the comments who have been deriding Q and saying nothing's happening, no indictments are unsealed. Well, here's your first unsealing order, and it's for Anthony Weiner. And he is the linchpin to so much corruption, all of the Hillary Clinton Foundation corruption, all of the Abedin Muslim Brotherhood infiltration, all of the weird pedogate stuff and the Podesta emails. This is the linchpin. This is the crux to it all. This is it. I mean, you're seeing it right here. It's going to be unsealed, and things are going to come out in court with this case, and when other indictments are unsealed, other cases that are going to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is obviously a conspiracy, not just against the president of the United States, but against the country as a whole by this globalist, Luciferian, satanic cabal. And that's my opinion, but take that with a grain of salt, if you will. And and this is the AN0N who posts this. He says, the source of the unsealed Weiner indictment is Pacer Service Center found at Pacer login. Well, you know, Pacer was what we just went over earlier, referring to the pacer.gov, which was in the post. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong one. The post right here, pacer.gov, right? Talking about the Podesta group and pacer.gov. Isn't that interesting? Well, that's very interesting when you put it with what the AN0N writes in the post. The source of the unsealed Weiner indictment is Pacer Service Center found at, gives a link. It says, see the blue text at the top? That's the standard header that appears on all documents filed in the U.S. federal courts. We cannot link directly because access to these files in Pacer is granted only to Pacer account holders, i.e. the legal professionals like myself. I have an idea for Pacer account holders. Let's start doing random searches using only the phrase unsealing order for 2018. This search will pull up any and all unsealed indictments in any given federal court in which we do that search. Notable, if only so that others with Pacer accounts will get on board with me. Q responds here, 100% authentic. So there you go. There you have it. The indictment has been unsealed. It's official. It's going to be the United States of America versus Anthony Weiner in the Southern District Court of New York, which is actually now not ran by Schneiderman or Preet Bharara. Isn't that interesting? So what they're saying is that the Attorney General Schneiderman from New York, the disgraced Attorney General who resigned after allegations of sexual abuse came up, the AN0N posts here, he says, Schneiderman gone, proper judge in place, impressive AN0N Q. And that's Q just saying impressive, good, fine. That's exactly what it is. We've gotten rid of Schneiderman, who is obviously corrupt to the brink, to the max, and we were able to replace the judge, or make sure that the judge, not even replace the judge, but just make sure that the judge who's going to hear the Anthony Weiner case is not some liberal globalist Luciferian cabal member who's into pedophilia or Satanism, one or the other, or is just corrupt to the bone through his own actions. And that's something that we've dealt with in the past. I mean, it's obvious. You can't get around some of this stuff, especially how deep they were integrated into our judicial. and still are. We're trying to replace the judges. But that's what Q is telling us right there, that the proper judge has been put in place to hear that case, and it's going to be quite a bombshell set of months ahead where we go through this information. I'm just almost just going to be looking for, like, where's the popcorn, right? You got to get the popcorn out on this. Not that I'm looking forward to hearing about some of the awful things. Now, the next post is what we were going to talk about when we were connecting back to the CIA and Gina Haspel, and what does all this have to do with anything? So you have the AN0N posting here. I know that too. Pickle, president equals presidential intelligence checklist. Pickle equals Hines and John Kerry. Pickle could just be a hard decision like it is normally just an odd theory I had. Now, Q responds, think pickle factory. Now, where have you ever heard the term pickle factory before? Well, I can tell you. Pickle factory is a term used to describe the CIA. It's been around for quite some time. I think it goes all the way back to around the 60s when it came out. But it is a common colloquial term used for the CIA. Now, why is that important? Well, there's actually something very interesting that we're going to look at very quickly. No, that's that article. Let me pull this up. So let's go back to May 13th, and we're going to look at the Q post that he put up here, where he's talking about the Iran deal, and he's talking about how France and Germany wanted to keep us in the Iran deal because they have these huge economic deals between $4 billion between France and Iran, and then another $3 billion between Germany and Iran. That's why Merkel and Macron were in the White House begging the president to stay in the Iran deal. But what's interesting here is that Q alludes to at the end. He says, who controls the elected leaders? Who do elected leaders report to? And then it says, Pickle. Will Iran expose the names of corrupt officials? Pickle. Well, people have made the suggestion now that pickle is obviously a term referring to the CIA. So the people who they were referring to here may be exposed as being corrupt officials were working with the CIA. So once again, just like in North Korea, you have the CIA involved in some pretty deep state stuff. We didn't elect these people to go out and create their little kingdoms inside of other countries and then destroy those countries. We didn't elect the people that we did elect to nominate or hire the people that are doing these things. So this is not acceptable in my opinion. That's exactly what I think Q's referring to when he's saying pickle factory, giving us reference better to what this if official exposing of corrupt officials in Iran will be exposing. It won't just be exposing the corrupt officials. It'll be exposing officials who will be connected directly to clowns in action here in the United States, it would seem, according to Q at least. So that's something to be considered. Now, that's what Q is saying when he says think pickle factory. Because he's telling us AN0N who's pondering what the meaning of pickle was in that post. So that should clear that up. Now, the next post, which is the last post we've seen so far tonight, is actually first this picture here. And the picture here is a person tweeting saying, for your information, I suspect silly codename Crossfire Hurricane is a load of bunk added recently for dramatic effect by Scheme Team. It would likely have been in the page stroke text if it originated in 2016 as claimed. It doesn't. And it gives a picture of these folks, all basically traitors to our country. And the AN0N post here in response to this, he says, they just keep lying, not surprised. It's all coming soon. They won't be able to control the narrative anymore. Q responds with this: bomb disposal team, bombs about to blow, which means 1, they know, 2, they are told, controlled, 3, both, coordinated. Clowns wear masks. Q. Before we get into breaking this one down, I think this is one of those times where we have to keep a more broad interpretation out there. So let's think about this. Q's talked a lot about double meanings. So the first meaning is the obvious one that I came to right off the top of my head, which was fairly obvious to me, but I do this every day. So it's just a little knack you get for reading Q and understanding kind of what he's saying with his post. But you hear bomb disposal team. Okay, so what they're saying is this whole story, this Operation Crossfire Hurricane, where Comey sends Peter Strzok across the pond to, as they say, to Britain, and he's over there in the UK, and it's 90 days before the Christopher Steele, or 90 days before the election, and before the Christopher Steele dossier is released. So he's obviously over there planting that story, or getting the sources ready to bring that story out, or negotiating the story being sold to the Clinton campaign and the DNC. But it's saying they came out here as a bomb disposal team. And I think it's very fair to say that these people could be all CIA. And I know that sounds crazy, guys, but bear with me here. This Peter Strzok is definitely the go-between, in my opinion, for James Comey and John Brennan and James Clapper. And that's coming out here recently. So is he a clown? Is he a clown who's working in both sides? Now, we talked about in this last post here before, where it was saying the SIS and UK, United States, US, UK. The SIS is the Secret Intelligence Service, and that is basically what people call the MI6 in UK. And what Q's telling us here is basically these are equal. They're working together. There's no real separation. If you look at what the CIA is doing with and against the Secret Intelligence Service and the FBI, they're working. When you put the Secret Intelligence Service with the FBI, they become greater than the CIA even. So you have this dynamic where you have both working against us, but then you have a joint operation going on between the FBI and the Foreign Intelligence Service. That's crazy. But that's what I think is being mentioned, like referred to here, right? And he's saying that the bomb disposal team, was this the bomb disposal team? The bomb was the information. The bomb was the text. The bomb was the Russia hoax cover-up that they put together with the Steele dossier. So they went to dispose, right? But then the bombs are about to blow anyway, because the information can't be withheld. It's out there. This is all, when you put all the pieces together, it becomes quite logical to say that these things happened. Although it's all allegations and speculation, we don't have the proof to say it has happened this way yet. We certainly are looking at it with a suspicious eye, as we are, meant to here. But it's saying that, one, they knew and know, and two, they are told to do it. So there's other outside actors controlling them, but that both are true, and that this was coordinated, and that the clowns wear masks. So that means if you have clowns in action, or CIA people, they'll wear masks of others, FBI or other intelligence agency officials, in order to cover up their involvement with the clowns in action. But there was another interpretation that was equally fascinating to me, which we talked about in the last episode. And I'm going to pull up this article and show you right now. 1 second. So in the last episode, we talked about Nancy Pelosi and Jack Dorsey meeting for Jack Dorsey seeking protection from Nancy Pelosi so that he could go and continue his gallivanting around Twitter, censoring, shadow banning people, and censoring information, and trying to control the world because he's a tech giant in his own mind, some kind of emperor to us, which isn't true at all. But the Pier 39 thing got me thinking about bombs, because somebody had said in one of the stories that the plot was actually to put bombs on, or here it says he would build explosives to put on Pier 39. And then that's talking about this gentleman here, this scumbag loser, who decided it would be a good idea to go and kill a bunch of people. But he was caught and he was thwarted, because somehow they came in and they acted just in the right amount of time in order to ultimately prevent that action from happening. But if you imagine and just juxtapose that story across this post and say bomb disposal team, bombs about to blow, they were, which means they knew about it and they were told, and that it was all controlled, and that it was both, and that it was coordinated, and that there was clowns, so you see where I'm going with that. But that's just two takes on it. I'd sure like to hear what you think in the comments. So again, much appreciation to each and every one of you for joining me, and definitely go back if you want to get more information on these and watch the last few. You're really going to find out some great information there. But that's going to be it for this episode. I want to say thank you so much for everybody watching. If you're looking for a way to contribute to the channel, the best way to do it, it's the easiest way to do it, helps me out big time, is to come here. If you have not hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified when these videos get posted. The second best way to help out the channel is to scroll down at the end of this video and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments, because you're going to definitely learn so much down there if you don't contribute. But if you do contribute, there's a community of great people down there who just continually contribute. And what we do is we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos, where you contribute and you make basically Q research. You talk about what the posts mean, other stories that are related, things that Q should be covering. I mean, whatever it is, go down there and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments. I really appreciate it. And even if you can't comment, just scroll down and read through them. I guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know before you started this video. Now, the other best way you can contribute is just jump over here to Just Informed Talk on Patreon, which is patreon.com, and you can search Just Informed Talk, and then you'll come to this page, click this button to become a patron. I want to thank everybody in advance for coming and checking it out. Come check out my rewards, my goals. It's not just a one-way street. You definitely get something in return for your contribution, and your donation helps keep this channel going, and demonetization is always real. They always are continually getting on me with that kind of thing, to keep my videos, I think, from getting not viral. I'm not looking for that, but to getting to a broader audience. I really think they're using that in a very smart way against me, but I cannot tell you that for a fact, so that's just my opinion. But all your donations help here. This is just a great supplement to the channel, and I really appreciate it. So thank you to everybody who comes over here and donates and continues to donate. But we're going to talk about now the most important thing by far, and that is God's grace. And why is God's grace the most important thing? Well, the Bible tells us a lot of different things, and generally speaking, it's up for most people to interpret certain parts of it. But we don't take that broad of a lens in saying, or that broad of a scope in saying that we can just decide to do exactly what we want. We have to live by God. We have to live by the teachings of the Bible. These are the important things, and it's not that hard. It's not like you have to change your life and move to a monastery in the Swiss Alps in order to get closer to God. It's actually one of the easiest and most rewarding things you'll ever do. And it can be difficult at times, but it won't always be difficult. And when it's not difficult, you'll see how amazing God's love is. And then when it is difficult, you'll appreciate that much more how strong God's love is and God's grace is in your life to bring you to the place you need to be in order to keep you safe and secure, and keep you blessed, and keep the ones you love blessed, because you're shining the light of God through your soul to them. And that's where we should always want to be. That's where we should always aim to be. So we're going to read this part. It's from Titus chapter 2. It reads, "But you must speak what is consistent with sound teaching. Older men are to be self-controlled, worthy of respect, sensible, and sound in faith, love, and endurance. In the same way, older women are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not addicted to much wine. They are to teach what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands and children, to be sensible, pure, good homemakers, and submissive to their husbands, so that God's message will not be slandered. Likewise, encourage the young men to be sensible about everything. Set an example of good works yourself, with integrity and dignity in your teaching. Your message is to be sound beyond reproach, so that the opponent will be ashamed, having nothing bad to say about us. For the grace of God has appeared, with salvation for all people, instructing us to deny godlessness and worldly lusts, and to live in a sensible, righteous, and godly way in the present age, while we wait for the blessed hope and the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ. He gave himself for us to redeem us from all lawlessness, and to cleanse for himself a special people eager to do good works. Say these things, and encourage and rebuke with all authority. Let no one disregard you. So there you have it. God's telling us about what the sound teaching is we need to have in our lives. The principles of love and faith and endurance, and principles to live by that will give us the ability to be good people. And he wants us to live by example. So we're to enact these things in ourselves. So just remember that if you're out there, it may seem daunting right now. Maybe you're in a way where you don't feel that there's even a possibility you could get reconnected with God. But let me tell you, God loves you, and there is always going to be a place in God's heart for you. Now, hopefully there's always a place in your heart for God as well that you just have to reach down and find. And for those of you who are men and women of God, glory be to his name, and thank you, and praise his name, and just continue to pray and continue to sing his praises and share his word far and wide, because that's ultimately what life's about. And if you don't take anything else away from this episode, please just remember that. Remember, God loves you, and that no matter what, if you're going through a tough time, just pray. Whether you're happy, sad, or indifferent, you don't have to be going through a tough time. Pray. Just pray and reach out to God. Open your heart to him. Let his light come into your soul, and then you can shine that light out to the world. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us here tonight. Now, again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, now is a really great time to do it. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified. But again, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.